Cumber City Council is now in session. We will now be entering into an executive session pursuant to RCW 4231.10.1B. The City Council now enter into an executive session to consider the acquisition of real estate. This executive session is slated to last 60 minutes until approximately 7 p.m. City Council, excuse me, has left executive session. There is no action from the executive session, so I'm adjourning the special meeting and calling our regular meeting to order. Would the clerk please take the roll?
Councilmember Culver.
Present.
Councilmember Marshall.
Here.
Councilmember Sassen.
Here.
Councilmember Shrubnik. Here. Councilmember Lutsis.
Here.
Deputy Mayor O'Kane.
Here.
Mayor Herbig.
Here.
All present.
That brings us to our land acknowledgement. Excuse me. We acknowledge that the city of Kenmore is situated upon the ancestral lands of the Snohomish, Snoqualmie, Soxhawtla, Duwamish, Stillaguamish, Tulalip, Suquamish, Muckleshoot, and other tribes who are part of the Coast Salish peoples. We recognize and express our deepest respect for their enduring stewardship and profound relationship with this land, which they have cherished and protected since time immemorial. We honor the First Peoples, acknowledge their vibrant cultures, and commit ourselves to learning from their wisdom in our journey to promote justice, equity, and mutual understanding. We pledge to stand alongside these communities in acknowledging past injustices and working towards a future that respects and celebrates the diverse heritage of this land. Now, if you'd all please stand and join me in the flag salute.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, God, indivisible, with liberty for all.
Next on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Unless there are any objections, the agenda will stand approved as published. Hearing no objections, the agenda is approved. Deputy City Clerk, where's the fun?
Great. Normally we highlight something that has already happened, but we are shaking it up for tonight and instead previewing a fun event to come. So this Saturday, December 14th, the city is hosting Winterfest from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., both here at City Hall and across the street at the Hangar. This event is sponsored by Imagine Housing and North Shore Utility District and will feature festive games, activities for the family, as well as host a large pop shop craft market that includes 30 plus vendors. And I'm told that at least 6 of these vendors are children vendors, so that'll be super exciting. The fun-filled 4 hours includes a gift wrapping station, musical performances, seasonal beverages and snacks, and other family-friendly games and crafts. The list goes on, and you can see the full list on the city's website. There is also an igloo building contest happening right now with entries due at City Hall this Thursday by 5 p.m. The full rules and instructions are on the city's website, and the igloos that are entered will be on display at Winterfest to be voted on by the Winterfest attendees for prizes. For those who are not in the competitive spirit, we have about 100 igloo making kits to build on Saturday just for fun. This is an example. I'm not sure who created it, but I hope that the ones that are being entered in are a little bit more creative. If you visit all of the stations with your stamp sheet, you can receive a Kenmore fleece beanie hat with a reflective safety stripe while supplies last. So we hope to see many of you there this coming Saturday.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. That brings us to public comments. I want to welcome folks to the council's meeting. Please address your comments to the mayor and council. Folks will have 3 minutes to speak. State your name, city of residence, and keep within the allotted time to make every person feel welcome and safe. Please refrain from booing, clapping, heckling, yelling, or other interruptions. The meeting is recorded for transparency. I want to thank everyone for being here and for sharing your input respectfully. Clerk.
Thank you, Mayor. We have 2 guests on site wishing to speak. Elizabeth Mooney, followed by Patrick O'Brien, and 2 guests online, Stacy Valenzuela and Janet Hayes. Ms. Mooney.
Thank you. Hi, Elizabeth Mooney, City of Kenmore. Greetings, happy holidays. I'm just here to say that on December 18th, our nonprofit PERC, and I'm wearing the t-shirt, I'm wearing the t-shirt, People for Environmentally Responsible Kenmore is going to have our meeting here. And again, thank you for having that opportunity for nonprofits to have meetings once a month. It's really great in this City Hall. And here's the plan. At 4:30, we open the doors And if any of you could come in, I mean, obviously you're all invited, but if you could come in, the idea is to increase communication. So all of the council and are invited. Last time during the power outage, I mentioned that our permit director and our climate action plan staffer, not permit director, sorry, what Riley came, and they talked about two specific issues that were really important to citizens, the Jay's Cafe, Laura's project, and climate action, you know, what we can do. It was really great. And even though there were not a lot of people there, the answers on Zoom were really important, and I will endeavor to put together some of those answers that came up during that discussion. We also were blessed with our city manager who came in and discussed some of the updates about the city. So anyway, thank you, Rob Karlinzi. And I heard from Deborah Zrebnik that night, thanks to your newsletter that comes out, I heard that also just coincidentally happens to be when the bright holiday ships come in and sing at Log Boom Park. So my plan is going to be welcoming people here at 4:30. If there are questions and answers till 5 o'clock, that we can all get to talk and do more communication about the environment and our city issues. And then we also have a volunteer who's offering for membership to give away little cedar trees. And so hopefully that will happen. So bring kids to get little cedar trees, and we'll have education about how to take care of them. And then I'm planning to walk over to Log Boom Park with little lights all over me for safety and sing. Wouldn't that be fun? So let's get some hot cocoa over at the stoop or whatever, and then walk over together singing songs. Wouldn't that be cool? I hope to see you all. And if you want to call in the meantime and let me know what you'd like to talk about, I will put that on the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. O'Brien.
Pat O'Brien, Kenmore. Hope you had a good pre-meeting. I'm sure it was interesting. It's interesting that the city has declared that it's having financial difficulties, and yet everybody's getting a raise. Just kind of amazing to me. 7% over 2 years raise. We still have air pollution every morning, doing a great job with that Kenmore asphalt plant. We really enjoy breathing that every morning. So thank you. And that, by the way, is going to be one of the things anybody that comes to Kenmore and wants to dwell in the downtown is going to see and experience. That pollution should have never been able to continue. And we could have shut it down, but we chose not to. Instead, we hired Cascade Law Group. I don't know what to tell you about Lake Point because it's not clear what you folks decided back there during this meeting. I just hope that Army Corps of Engineers comes out and says that there's mandatory testing for a lot of different chemicals and compounds, and that somebody other than the same old people, Anchor, is doing the testing. And I would hope that you would consult with Dr. Richard Honor on who is a credible testing agency and share that information with the public. Otherwise, it's not credible, because I've looked at the old tests that were done when Mayor Baker was around, the scoop sampling and everything, totally inadequate for the scope of the problem that we know is there. And that certainly the release of any funds for any part of Lake Point has to happen after that testing is taken, understood, tabulated, and shared with the public. To share any money on new lawyers or anything like that before you have that evidence in hand is malfeasance. And you work for supposedly the citizens of Kenmore, and rather than protecting us, at times it seems like you're the oppressors. So I'm not, I'm hoping for the best. How's that for good Christmas cheer? We had a really bad time with Puget Sound Energy. I hope somebody can do that. And with that, I wish you a Merry Christmas.
Thank you. We'll now move on to our online guests. Stacy Valenzuela, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
We hear you. Go on.
Thank you. Stacy Valenzuela Kenmore. I am as concerned as I am disappointed, as I heard statements from council members of integrity, supporting transparency and democracy. These terms align with our residents' concerns. I hope you took time to read the comp plan thoroughly. We would like to see each and every one of you make additional efforts to reach out, hear directly from our community. Remember the promised town halls? It feels like the limited directive is already adopted in one-on-one meetings and with the task force handpicked and led by staff, heard more than from the residents' concerns. Are you listening, hearing, implementing our concerns? Using the catchphrases, we're listening, affordable or senior housing, and climate change to appease the concerns of the majority. The posted council priorities of climate action, environmental protection, including tree canopy and real low affordable housing, align with the voting residents' priorities. But being taxed, levied, and bonds for over projects purchasing Matka contaminated Lake Point are not aligned with our resident priorities and should not come forward unless there is a vote. In a city with so much air pollution from the asphalt emissions and cement particulate matter, dioxins, trees are needed to help absorb these contaminants. Established urban tree canopy also act as the physical barrier, keeping the noise, heat, and water pollution down. They improve the health of all living things. Stating you're supporting extremely low affordable housing, yet the developer and property owner are stating that the original site plan had 175 moderate, 50% affordable housing units and work to save the trees, yet is modified. I appreciate the preservations and protections of the manufactured home communities, but shouldn't main goal be to keep our most vulnerable residents housed? Yet why is the mobile home community zoning being excluded from the types of zoning? So very sad that after all these years, all that is being brought forward in your 2025 legislation priority goal is to make sure to tell people upon sale that they cannot move mobile homes. Really? What's missing? There are additional laws, tenant protections, manufactured home zoning that should protect these communities because the homes are owned by the tenants. The homes and lots are maintained by the tenants. What about the city standing strongly as the state is calling for protecting and preserving the most vulnerable and lowest affordable housing to keep corporate investors from increasing homelessness for profit? Thank you. And again, I am so concerned.
Thank you. We did have Janet Hayes signed up to speak, but she is not online with us, Mayor Herbeck. So that concludes our speakers list.
All right, that brings us to the consent agenda. The chair would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to remove item E, please.
Oh, okay. Item E.
Otherwise, without that, so moved.
Okay, so was that a motion for everything minus item E?
Yes.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second for the consent agenda minus item E. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the consent agenda minus item E is approved. That brings us to item E. Authorize the city manager to execute amendment number 1 to contract 24C3026 with Hillis, Clark, Martin, and Peterson for provision of environmental legal advice associated with potential acquisition of a portion of the Lake Point property and other general environmental legal assistance subject to approval by the city attorney. Mr. City Manager, I'm not sure who's the best to
Yeah, our
Speak to
Community
this.
Development Director, Debbie Bent, who is here, prepared this agenda bill. You want a quick summary, or does the agenda bill suffice?
I don't have any questions. No, I just wanted to vote no separately.
Okay, so does anybody else have any questions on item E? Okay, seeing none, with the clerk, the chair would entertain a motion to approve item E from on the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
I'll give that one to the deputy mayor. Any discussion? Seeing none, would the clerk please take the roll?
On the motion to approve item E from the consent agenda, Councilmember Sassen,
Yes.
Councilmember Culver,
No.
Councilmember Lutsis,
Yes.
Councilmember Shrubnik. Yes. Councilmember Marshall,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor O'Kane,
Yes.
Mayor Herbig.
Yes. The item E is approved, 6 yeas, 1 nay. That brings us to our presentation, Cascadia College, State of the College, presented by Cascadia College President, Dr. Eric Murray. Dr. Murray, welcome.
Mr. Murray, is your microphone on?
Oh, we'll do that again. Mr. Mayor, members of council, good to see you all again. And there is the presentation up on your screen, so we'll get to that in a minute. This is the annual time when I come and talk to city councils and our school boards in the service area that Cascadia represents to give you an update on the college. And to get to the punchline, it's all good news. So we're doing really well this year, and I want to share with you a little bit about those successes. So tonight, some successes, some ongoing challenges, and some invitations for you all. So our enrollment is up 25% from last fall. You'll remember in previous past State of the College addresses, we saw a total of 45% enrollment drop through the pandemic. That has now fully recovered, and we have had 8 successive quarters of a continued enrollment increase, and even our winter numbers are still on the way up. So we are doing really well, and we are rebounding well, which puts us in a great financial position. So why? And that's the question I want to, it's not just that we have good numbers, but why do we have numbers? Well, I think you all are partially responsible for that. There are a number of reasons, but the grant that we received from the city in order to help gap tutoring for those students who had math and English deficits throughout the pandemic has really helped. Those students are getting extra tutoring. Kenmore residents from both Inglemoor and Bothell High School, as long as they live in the city of Kenmore. We are seeing them attend summer classes this last summer and then enroll with us now. And so we're very excited that has turned out to be a success. At the other end of the district, we opened up a center in Redmond, and that is now full. We are offering Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. classes, and it looks like we're going to open on the weekends because the demand is so high down there for both college level classes as well as English as a second language. You may know about our Student of Color conferences. We now have more than 800 students from 5 different school districts coming to Cascadia every spring to experience what it's like to be on a college campus, and that has certainly helped with our enrollment. We have retention efforts. Those are all access. These are retention. Our mentoring program, we have more than 100 students who are receiving mentoring, and they stay with us longer than students who don't receive mentoring. We do something called intrusive advising, meaning you don't have to voluntarily meet with your advisor before you register for your next quarter's classes. You have to meet with your advisor. And that human interaction, that guidance every quarter is helping students stay with us. And we've also embedded tutors in math and English so that a student who has previously taken the class sits through the class again and then helps other students learn the material even better with tutoring. So our retention efforts are paying off. And then I think there's just a general post-pandemic rebound. A lot of folks are very cost conscious these days. And when you can go to Cascadia and have a 95% chance of getting into the university of your choice when you're done with us, it makes good financial sense to pay a lot less money to start out with us. Other colleges are also seeing enrollment increases. We tend to be at the top end of that. And this year, for the first time ever, we broke over 1,000 Running Start students from across Western Washington are coming to Cascadia because we have a reputation of doing that really well. And I think people are appreciating the value of Running Start. So what else is going on? Some of you came to our grand opening of our $80 million science building, Innovation Hall, that we built with UW-Bothell. We are on the precipice of breaking ground for yet another building. It's our Student Services Center called Gateway Hall. We relaunched our foundation a few years ago, and that has seen year over year more than $500,000 worth of generous giving to help support our students. We have our Community Advisory Committee, which the mayor attends, and that is a great roundtable opportunity for different agencies, different organizations, just to hear what the trends are in the community, in our region. And we have really robust conversations once a quarter about those kinds of topics. We continue to have a great relationship with UW-Bothell, and we continue to offer our equity and inclusion course for employees, not just for our employees, but lots of other organizations now have gotten wind that we offer this course and are adopting it for their own organizations like the King County Library. We continue to have some challenges. It's no longer finding students. It's now finding enough instructors to teach classes. So if you've got a master's degree in something and you want to teach a class, we would love to recruit you. Also, we need to just find that right mix of class offerings in Redmond. We're working closely with Lake Washington School District to do that. And we, as I think many agencies, are still dealing with some staffing turnovers and getting enough people in place to do the things we need. We have some facility growth challenges still with supply chain. The community colleges submit a list to the legislature, and it's an organized list, and the legislature every year gets so far down on that list for capital projects. And right now, the Cascadia Gateway building is sitting right at the precipice of whether we're going to be included in the envelope or not included in the envelope. And so in a minute, in our invitations section, I might have an invitation for the city council to think about helping us with that. And then parking. It used to be we didn't have enough parking. Now we've got too much parking. And that's because we've switched a lot of our classes to online, and so not as many students are coming, which would be a great thing for environmental purposes, except we also owe $30 million for the loan we took out to build the last parking garage. So I continue to need students to park on campus so that we can continue to pay our bond payments. So some kind of reverse problems. I'd rather have these problems than not enough students, for sure. So some invitations. I hope that you will, in February on the 26th, come celebrate 25 years of our existence with us. It's a great a moment in our history. You already send somebody to our Community Advisory Council. Thank you, Mayor Herbeck, for that. And then there's a possibility, if I see that that envelope to include Cascadia's next building is not in the legislative budget come the next couple of months, I'll potentially be coming back to city councils and school boards and saying, if you could help lend a letter of support for getting the legislature there. It doesn't affect really anybody else's capital projects. So if you have something going on your own, it's really how far down they want to go with the community colleges. So that might be an invitation that I'll come back. We'll just gauge that as it plays out. Please refer possible instructors if they've got a master's degree, and we would love to see them teaching for us. And if you need to have someone lead a Foundations of Equity and Inclusion course for your employees, we invite you to talk with us and we can see how that might work for the city. Successes, challenges, and invitations. And as I said, the punchline, we're doing really well. And we're proud to serve the 6 communities and the 3 school districts that we serve. And as you all know, I live just a mile that way, and Kenmore is my place. And so this always feels like coming home when I get to talk with you all. So thank you very much. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions? Deputy Mayor.
I don't have a question, but I do want to say how grateful I am that we have Cascadia College in our community, and just state how much my daughter has enjoyed attending. She'll be starting at UW-Bothell in January, and I'm thrilled. And when it comes to budget, it does make sense to be going to our local community colleges. My daughter moved back from California to come here, and I'm so thankful. She's very excited about her next steps, but she has had nothing but praise for her experience at Cascadia. So thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. And interestingly, a little side note, every single city council sitting right now has at least one member who has a student who's been at Cascadia. And so this is a repeat story for us, and I love hearing that. So thank you.
City Manager.
Can you go back to the last slide, second to last slide before questions? That one right there. Yeah, I think we would be interested in that Foundations of Equity Inclusion course. I just wanted to, can you just keep it up there and I'll type it in? But,
You know how to get a hold of me and I'd be happy to
yeah,
give you
well,
a
I
whole
want to
bunch of
remember
information.
it. I got to write a note now or else I'll forget.
Yeah.
But Eric, how long have you been president of Cascadia?
14 and a half years.
Okay, so
I'm
you,
the longest serving community college president in the state right now.
so you got me beat by about a year and a half. So you were there to welcome me when I first started many years ago. And Eric's been a great partner with us in many ways. We're lucky to have him leading Cascadia and as a partner with the city. One tradition that we've had is Eric has always emceed the state of the city every year that we've done it. We've taken a couple of years off, but we're going to do it again early next year. So formal invitation for you to be the MC of State of the City once again.
Just make sure the Chamber of Commerce is aware of that. I no longer sit on their board and I think they're a sponsor of that event.
I know they run that event, but we should be able to say who our MC is, don't you think?
I love emceeing the Kenmore State of the City event. I really do. And this little love fest is mutual here. I admire your city manager for the things that he's done and how he leads with kindness. I'm starting to see more and more city managers follow that lead these days. That's really great.
Also MC our candidate forums that we have. on
Yes,
election
happy
years
to
too.
do that again. Well, look at us. We do a lot of things together and I do it on behalf of the college. The college is here to be of service to our community. And whether it's my role or the institution itself, I always want to make sure our cities feel supported by our educational institutions.
Any other questions or comments? Councilor Lutzis.
I just want to thank you as a college kid myself, recent graduate, and now in my master's program. It's always a pleasure to see what our higher education institutions can do for our communities. And so gratitude from my perspective and a lot of the community members.
What are
of
you
my
studying in
age.
graduate school?
Public administration.
Okay, well, once you get that master's, we've got a teaching role available. So.
Thank you.
All
All
right,
right,
thank you very much.
Have a good evening.
Appreciate it. That brings us to our business agenda. First item, proposed ordinance number 240623, amendments for the periodic update to the city's comprehensive plan presented by Community Development Director Debbie Benton, Principal Planner Todd Hall.
Good evening, Council. We're here tonight to recommend that Council pass an ordinance 240623, adopting amendments for the periodic update to the city's comprehensive plan. So you will see this is rather a large agenda packet. It includes all the items that have been brought forward to you by the Planning Commission. You've also held a public hearing for the substantive amendments that you held. So I don't really have a presentation other than to say this represents a huge amount of work by the Planning Commission this year and also by Todd, who is the primary staff person to the Planning Commission. So unless you have any questions, staff recommends that you adopt the ordinance. Thank you.
Questions? Councilor Culver.
Thank you. This is a bit adjacent and I'm trying to dig it up, but it's housing related. The alternative compliance for 1110, for context, folks might know, but this gives cities sort of more tools and more flexibility for implementing missing middle stuff. I know we have largely postponed a lot of housing code this year. That's kind of been part of 2025's charge. But I was looking recently and saw that, I should say too, on the alternative compliance piece, Planning Commission was really bullish on this. This would give us more flexibility for stuff like R1. I'm bringing this up because I was looking recently at a PDF that I think said we might have missed the deadline on this. I think it said we needed to have certain missing middle pieces ready by, I think, July or something like that. So I will try to dig up that PDF where I saw that, but I wondered if that was on your all's radar, you're aware of it. Sorry, I should have got this in sooner, but if you might know anything there, yeah, I will dig it up now.
Well, it is adjacent to adoption of the policies this evening that would then be more applicable to the implementing regulations for middle housing and the approach taken. So later in January, there is a joint meeting with the Planning Commission, first of all, to discuss the land use capacity analysis and also to kind of give an overview on general policy direction. You had a similar meeting probably over a year ago, so this is an update. So Councilmember Culver will make sure to address those questions when we meet with the Planning Commission, have that answer for you then.
Okay, 10-4, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, well, the chair would entertain a motion then to approve proposed ordinance 240623.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Councilmember Marshall.
I read the whole plan proposal fairly closely and was appreciative of the staff's response to my input and the council's working with it as well. And I think it achieves a pretty good balance of what, my concerns, environment first, but it achieves a pretty good balance with the idea of denser housing. So I'm reassured by this at this level right now that it's a great balanced plan, and look forward to seeing how we're going to continue to balance it out through the implementation next year.
Any other comments? Discussion? All right, well, I want to thank staff for all the work that went into this. I can't even imagine how many, I could not count how many meetings we've had on this. And you've always come with you've come to us with thoughtful documents, and you have taken our feedback and the feedback from the public. And I think we put together something very good here. So thank you so much for your work, because I know it was a really heavy lift this year. If there's no further discussion, would the clerk please take the roll?
On the motion to adopt proposed ordinance number 24-0623, adopting the City of Kenmore's periodic update to the Kenmore Comprehensive Plan, Councilmember Shrubnik.
Sorry, yes.
Councilmember Marshall.
Yes.
Councilmember Lutsis.
Yes.
Councilmember Culver.
Yes.
Councilmember Sassen.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor O'Kane.
Yes.
Mayor Herbig.
Yes. The motion is approved unanimously. That brings us to our second piece of business on the business agenda, proposed ordinance 240624, amending chapters 1820 and 1854 of the Kenmore Municipal Code and amending the city's official zoning map, presented by Community Development Director Debbie Bent and Principal Planner Todd Hall.
Again, I don't really have a presentation this evening. This is sort of the culmination of work by the Planning Commission on the docket as it relates to amendments to the zoning map and minor changes to the zoning regulations. So these are split out into a separate ordinance just to kind of make it a little bit simpler. So unless you have any questions about the ordinance, staff would recommend that you pass your. Thank you.
Questions? Comments? All right, seeing no questions, the chair entertained a motion to approve proposed ordinance number 24-0624.
So moved.
Motion from the deputy mayor, second from Councilmember Shrubnik. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, would the clerk please take the roll?
On the motion to adopt proposed ordinance number 24-0624, amending chapters 18.20 and 18. Is it 1854 or 55? Deputy Bent? 55. Okay, amending chapters 18.20 and 18.55 of the Kenmore Municipal Code and amending the city's official zoning map. Councilmember Lutsis.
Yes.
Councilmember Culver,
Yes.
Councilmember Sassen,
Yes.
Councilmember Marshall,
Yes.
Councilmember Shrubnik,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor O'Kane,
Yes.
Mayor Herbig.
Yes. The ordinance is approved unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
That brings us to item C, which is our third quarter 2024 financial report for the city of Kenmore, presented by Finance Administration Director Melinda Merrill.
Good evening, council. Today I have asked Julie Yinger to join me. She is our lead and only accountant on the team, and you have met her before, but it's free introduction, and she has taken over a lot of the work on this presentation. So I just wanted her to have this exposure here for you guys. So this is our third quarter report, and we are working on more timely reports, just in case you were wondering. And now that Julie's been here for a little while and been able to kind of get caught up on some things that we got behind on, we'll do a better job of bringing these more timely for you. This is the third quarter of the biennium, and we are at about 87.5% of our way through the biennium. So that's the target number that we look at when we look for large variances through this point in time. So these are the revenues within the general fund, and biennium to date is what BTD stands for. So as of 9/30 biennium to date, we are at 28.6 million out of 32.96 million, and that's 87%, which looks right on target. However, you can see if you look at the specific line items that we do have some variances happening. So the reasons for some of the variances, property taxes, I usually look at 10%. So anything above or below 10% from where we should be at the 87.5, I look into. So for property taxes, as you know, cyclical, and we, at this point, if I look at the numbers today, we're over 100% of our target. So the money just comes in post the end of September. So we get our bulk of our monies in October and November. So sales and use taxes are looking good, utility, and then other taxes are high. Other taxes include like gambling, cannabis, B&O. So those are just running high so far this year. Development fees and permits. I think these were up last time. We have two large projects, the 25 Degrees and the North Shore School District. So those are driving up those revenues. And then intergovernmental and grants, that's driven by the intergovernmental transfers that need to happen. Haven't happened yet. As you guys know, I've been saying our investment interest is just running very nicely. And so that's up quite a bit. And so that gets us to our 87% overall for revenues. Any questions on that page?
Questions?
Okay. So under expenditures, again, these are general fund expenditures broken down by cost center. And total expenditures are 69.8% through this point in time. The big driver of that is, of course, public safety, where we used ARPA monies to pay down that line item for 2023. So that's why that's at 36.4%. Other items of note, so legal fees are up. Human resources is very low. That's because we did not fill the manager position in that role, and I'm taking on that work. Again, transfers still need to happen for year end. Special projects got created once we closed the ARPA fund, and because we look at, I didn't make a budget amendment for that specific cost center because we look at the whole fund in total, and the whole fund is did not need a budget amendment. So even though the budget is zero, we still have money. We have budget authority to cover those costs. And there is a new special projects created in 2025. Housing and Human Services, there were dollars that were budgeted elsewhere that ended up being paid out of this line item for some housing and human services costs.
The grant program, right?
The what?
The grant program.
Yes.
Yep.
What else? Those are all the big items. Community development is low. They had a position, somebody departed, and we did not fill that position. That's it in expenditures. So in summary for general fund, we have reserves of 9.4 million. Our requirement is 3.3 million, and there's our policy, which you've heard in the past, which we will maintain reserves of not less than 20% of our annual operating expenditures. So here are the investments that we have. We were able to add at least one additional investment. I think that was it this year. We have total investments of 10.5 million, and then more cash basis money of 24.5 for a total of about $35 million. So in our street fund, we are running low in revenues, and that's the driver there is really just the transfers that need to happen from the TBD fund and from the general fund. And then you can see some of the others are high. We're bringing in more revenue than anticipated. And then in our expenditures, we're 74.5%, so we're on the low side for expenditures. Maintenance and operations are running low. Some of those costs get split between general fund and street fund. And so it's usually in one place or the other, but they're just running low in this on this fund. And then if you look at the net revenue expenditure number, the negative 677, that's really negative because we haven't done the revenue transfers from the general fund and TBD, as I mentioned. For surface water management, our storm drain fees are at 79%. So those are within my expectation. Our expenditures are low at 71%. And we currently have a cash balance of 600,000 as of 9/30. Our impact fee revenues, so park impact fees, we're bringing in a good amount of money there, 701,000, which is at 139% of our budget. And transportation impact fees are at 1.6 million, so 154% of our budget. So we are looking really good there in those revenues. And you can see the cash balances that we have for those two funds.
And if I could just interject, those are because of some bigger projects we've had, namely the 25 Degrees condominium project. So this isn't a trend that we can expect to continue in the future.
Thank you. Very correct. REIT and TBD. So REIT is at 71% of our target, and Transportation Benefit District is at 84% of our target. And you can see the large cash balance in REIT and 700,000 in Transportation Benefit District. So in summary, general fund revenues look good at 87%. I mentioned the items that are either high or low, but there's no areas of concern in that fund. The interest revenue again is running very, very nicely, 177%. Development fees and permit revenue is up, and that's, as Rob just mentioned, the reason why from the large projects. And then low public safety costs because of the ARPA funds in 2023. We will need to record the transfers before year end, and the other funds are tracking as expected. What questions do you have?
Questions? I am not seeing any questions. Thank you very much for the presentation. We appreciate the update.
Yeah.
That brings us to the proposed 2025 salary plan presented by Finance Administration Director Melinda Morel.
Okay, so normally you are approving the salary plan as part of the budget. This year, for many reasons, our wage study got delayed, and so it took a little longer than we thought. And so in order to create the new salary ranges, that's coming to you today. So you've already approved a 3.6% wage increase as of January 1. This is now the schedule that you have in your packet now includes that 3.6%, but it also includes changes to the ranges for the different job titles. So some changed, some didn't change. We always make an effort to group similar jobs together. So you'll see several where you'll have 2 or 3 groupings of the same salary range. But that is in your packet. I don't have a separate presentation. It is just that salary schedule that is here for your approval and adoption tonight.
Questions, comments? Not seeing any. The chair would entertain a motion to approve the proposed 2025 salary plan.
So moved.
That's a second from Councilmember Sassen. It was just quiet. Any discussion? Just for the public's benefit, I just want to make sure that the 3.6% you're talking about is our annual cost of living increase. It's tied to the CPI for the area, and that is done on a yearly basis just to keep staff salaries in line with inflation year to year.
That is accurate.
All right, seeing no further comments, would the clerk please take the roll?
Thank you. On the motion to approve the 2025 proposed salary plan, Councilmember Marshall,
Yes.
Councilmember Shrubnik,
Yes.
Councilmember Sassen,
Yes.
Councilmember Lutsis,
Yes.
Councilmember Culver,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor O'Kane,
Yes.
Mayor Herbig.
Yes. The proposed salary plan is approved unanimously. That brings us to the last item on our business agenda, 2025 State Legislative Agenda Amendment presented by City Manager Rob Karlinski.
Thank you, Your Honor. In October, you all adopted the state legislative agenda. Those are the top priority issues we want to take to Olympia when the state legislature is in session starting in January. It is a regular session, so it's when they adopt their 2-year or biennium budget. When you adopted the legislative agenda back in October, we were asking for a specific amount to help with the acquisition of Lake Point, $650,000 for due diligence costs. In consulting with our lobbyist and talking about how things have been kind of fluid with Lake Point, I'm recommending that we take that specific request out and just have the language say that we would be requesting funding to help us acquire a strategic part of the property to make this vision a reality and take out the specific dollar amount. We will be consulting and getting advice from our state legislative delegation, our 2 representatives and our senator in the coming weeks on what that request should be more specifically, but I estimate it'll be in the 1 to 3 million range. So just to summarize, the proposed amendment to the legislative agenda just makes the language a little bit more general and less specific.
you have any questions for the city manager? Okay, not seeing any. The chair would entertain a motion to approve the amended state 2025 state legislative agenda.
No move.
Second.
I'll give that one to Councilor Marshall. Any discussion? Not seeing any. Would the clerk please take the roll?
On the motion to approve the proposed amendment to the City of Kenmore 2025 state legislative agenda, Councilmember Culver,
Yes.
Councilmember Lutsis,
Yes.
Councilmember Sassen,
Yes.
Councilmember Shrubnik,
Yes.
Councilmember Marshall,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor O'Kane,
Yes.
Mayor Herbig.
Yes, the agenda amendment is approved unanimously. Staff reports.
Yeah, just a few things. Well, I do want to echo what you said, Mayor. I'm grateful to Debbie Bent and Todd Hall for the great job they did on the comprehensive plan. We adopt our comprehensive plan once every 10 years. So every time we do it, it's a big effort and tons of meetings by the Planning Commission, tons of work by my coworkers, and just want to thank them and congratulate them and you as well for adopting that. It's a key document that we live by here. Also, thank you for supporting my city employees. Appreciate the actions you took tonight on that. And also, I'm very grateful for you to allow me to serve as your city manager and allowing me to continue to play that role. I do not take it for granted, and I know it's a privilege to serve in this role. Tomorrow morning at about 10:30, I think that it's mix and mingle at 10, and then at 10:30 is the King County Historic Preservation Spellman Awards at the Kenmore Community Club. And the reason Executive Constantine is coming to Kenmore, to the Kenmore Community Club, is because the two awards to be given are for Kenmore people. Kenmore Air, the largest seaplane operation in the United States, will be recognized and be given the Spellman Award. And then also Nancy Owsley, our recently retired Assistant City Manager, will also be receiving the Spellman Award. So that's tomorrow. 10:30 is when the ceremony actually starts at the Kenmore Community Club, and you're all invited. And we've already done a potential quorum notice, so don't worry. And just lastly, I just want to wish everybody happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and Happy New Year. This is the last council meeting of the year, so enjoy the holidays.
Councilmember reports and comments. Councilmember Culver.
The good news is we might be out of here before 8 o'clock, which is wild. Free Palestine. That is all I got. Thank you.
Councilor Marshall.
Thanks to all of our citizens and our city manager and our city staff and the city council for a very productive year. And there's a lot of unrest and unhappiness and misery raging a lot of places around the world. And we can do more than wish peace upon them all and us all. Thanks.
Councilor Sassen.
I think I just really want to reiterate my council members' sentiments, acknowledging it was a muscular fall in terms of how much staff and council accomplished. I feel grateful and no small amount of relief to be through it. I too wish that we could export the peace that we have here in our sweet little town outward. We have so many beautiful possibilities that I wish was true for the rest of the world. So anyway, grateful to all of you, and again, happy holidays.
Councilor Shrubnik.
Very similar sentiment. Thank you to all of our staff for a really productive and important set of decisions this fall. I know there's been a lot of work that went into it, and I really appreciate it. I know we all do. I want to thank my council members for all of their valuable comments on all of the things that we've worked on. I want to thank our community for the same. Such appreciation of the people who are willing to come to public comment, whether virtually or in person. I know I really, well, or email. I really value all of those ways of communicating your thoughts. So I just want to say that. And I am very grateful to be in this community and all of the beautiful places here and the beautiful people. And I wish everybody happy holidays.
Councilmember Lutzis,
Yes, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor.
Truly thankful to finish this year on a high note. Thankful to staff and everyone's efforts. Wishing everyone here a peaceful and safe holiday. I again want to state my support for a free Palestine, for the end of the United States support of the apartheid state, ethnic cleansing of Palestine and genocide. And actually other military violence that our nation is funding around the world. I pray for peace and wish it upon all of us. Thank you.
I have many of the same sentiments as my colleagues here. As we finish up our last meeting, I think this was a really good year. I want to thank Deputy Mayor and Councilmember Shrevenick and Marshall for your continued work on the council. And I want to thank Councilmembers Culver, Sasson, and Lutzis for being willing to put yourself out and joining council and all the hard work you put in over this last year. It's been a joy working with all of you, and I'm looking forward to what we can do together in 2026. And yes, I want to thank staff for everything they've done. I want to thank our clerks for getting us through the year. I want to thank the city manager for everything he's done. And the city attorney who has to jump in every once in a while and correct me when I'm wrong. So thank you. Helps keep the meetings moving smoothly. There was one small fib told by our city manager. That is, we actually are going to have a special council meeting next week to play the bills, a quick, what we call a stand-up meeting. There is an email in your inbox from the clerks asking for availabilities next week. So I would hope that you all check that just so we can get a quorum and get the bills paid next week. So with that, nothing more to come before us. The Kenmore City Council is adjourned.